It's 1991. Birds and people are living together in seemingly perfect harmony. Until one day, a young man catches fire. This is Phoenix. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Game Week 17 knee-jerk stream. Game Week 16 not quite over yet. We've still got one more game tomorrow, which is West Ham and Bournemouth. Bournemouth at home. I've got nobody in that game, so I am all out. I'm currently on 64 points, I think, but it might actually be only 60. And the reason for that is Palmer was on 2 bonus points when I put the scores up, and then he's now dropped down to 0 bonus points. So I think basically the numbers I've got on screen are slightly incorrect. I think it's actually 60 points, which I'll change now, and my rank's 187k instead of 176k. So I'll just change that now. I don't think Palmer's going to go up in bonus points. He didn't get any returns, right? So it was unlikely that was going to happen anyway. So I have gone from 268k to 187, but no players tomorrow. So I'll drop back outside the top 200k. But I'm pretty happy with the week because I was expecting a small red arrow and it looks like it's going to be a green instead. I think this is the worst my team was going to look over the next 3. So decent enough. All right, let's get into some of your questions and some of the discussion points for tonight. There's a super chat. Gordon versus Jota versus Mbeumo. Any better 7.5 million midfielder? I mean, fixture-wise, it's probably Gordon right now. Like, Jota is super interesting, but the guy cannot stay fit. He's only just back from injury. There's fixture congestion coming up. There will be rotation. For me, if you're going to go for Jota, especially with an eye on the double, you buy him a lot closer to 24, probably. I suspect he will just get injured again at some point. Who remembers last year when lots of us got him for the double and he got injured in the first game? So did Darwin, to be fair. Did Bruno and Mbeumo to Saka and Matoma? Ouch. Ouch indeed. Yeah, Bruno 9-pointer, Mbeumo 10-pointer. Mbeumo scored, wiped out the Chelsea clean sheet, and he jumped straight to 3 bonus, which is pretty nice. Why is Kukurea rising? He just got a red card. So he got his second yellow card after the final whistle, so that's a red card. Solanke never hauls. Yeah, a 5-pointer in a 5-0 win is a bit frustrating. I can't complain too much because he's got a return, but you're hoping for more in that kind of game, but it is what it is. Solanke's number of returns have still been all right. He just doesn't... He very rarely has got like a big haul, and he doesn't often get bonus. So, I don't know. He's still... I'd love to have Isak instead of Solanke. I've said that for a few weeks now, but it's an extra 1.2 million to get to him. For me now, I think it is. And it's just quite difficult, because I've not really got anyone that I want to downgrade right now. In a few weeks, I'm happy to get rid of an Arsenal defender. but I don't want to do it this week or next week. A good source told me that Garnacho has been leaking the team, God knows why, and heard Rashford was out on a night out on Friday. Yeah, both of them left out of the squad. For anyone looking at Amad Diallo, his minutes look pretty good right now. The Mbeumo 10-pointer shows the frailties of the bonus system. Taking more than Jackson, who won the game with his goal, is madness. But Jackson would have got some bonus points for scoring the winning goal. He just obviously didn't do enough other stuff. I don't think it's one bonus point difference. I don't think it really makes that much of an. It's not really that much of an issue. Spurs had 4 to 5 players ahead of Solanke every counter attack. Yeah, but again, like, I don't know who to sell him to. There's not really any other forwards that I massively want that are better than Solanke over the next few weeks that are cheaper. Like, Chris Wood may well do better than Solanke or get close for less money, but it's just not a transfer I'm going to make. I think I just keep Solanke until I can afford to get Isak, but I can't get Isak right now because I don't have enough money. So I'm just going to hold him. I don't think it's like a huge issue. What happens to João Pedro today playing left back? He wasn't really a left back, but he was just dropping in deeper off the left towards the end of the game. Not great, but that's not going to be his position moving forward, right? He's going to play as a number 9 or a number 10. So, again, João Pedro, like, you could say it's a bit frustrating, the amount of returns, since a lot of us brought him back in, but he's so cheap. Who else do you even go to? Like, it's just not a position I'm really worried about moving around all the time. You still have Haaland. Today, honestly, so I don't think Man United were great today, and I think City were quite comfortable for a lot of that game. But at the same time, as comfortable as they weren't really creating anything. And I know Haaland's not been in great form, especially in the league recently. And so it's not like he's done amazing in other games and bad in this one. But Harry Maguire was so good against Haaland today. I think Harry Maguire is if they're going to play a back three, which they are. I think Harry Maguire is Man United's best central centre back. I think he should be first choice ahead of De Ligt. Genuinely, that's not a troll. I know I love Maguire more than a lot of other people, but I do think in a back three, he's decent. Maybe not your long-term player, but I hope he gets a bit of a run now. Would you move Johnson or hold? I guess it depends who you're moving to, right? I think generally, Johnson's a pretty good hold, but it's a bit annoying that he got benched against it. That's 2 benchings recently, right? So you could move him on. I just think in and around his price, who are you going to? Like, Eze might not be that bad, but Eze got hooked before 60 minutes today. Maybe that was just game state. I don't know. It's a bit frustrating. I didn't miss that super chat. Gordon versus... Well, I slightly talked about it. I'd probably buy Gordon out of Gordon, Jota and Mbeumo right now. I did talk about Jota and I forgot to answer the actual question. Is there any better 7.5 million midfielder? Not off the top of my head. Bowen maybe, but I think I'd buy Gordon just because of the fixtures. Ismail Assar, maybe. Maybe. I just don't think it's the right time to buy Crystal Palace players with Arsenal up next. I think you probably want to buy them before the Southampton game, maybe before Brighton, but not this week. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't change the points. I'm on 999, not 1,003, because of that bonus point fiasco. And by the way, I'm not saying that Palmer should have had an assist. Someone said I sound ill. I have had a cold the last week, which has taken. It's pretty much gone now. But I also went out last night, so that's probably also playing into the part. But I didn't miss the stream. That's the important thing. Pedro Porro out. Who should I bring in for him? How much money you got to spend? I think generally I would be looking at Arsenal and Liverpool defenders. It's not a great week to bring Liverpool defenders in, though. Maybe Arsenal ones, possibly. Otherwise, maybe Robinson, Anderson if he's back fit. I need to have a think about defenders. Like, Colwell's got Everton away. It's probably not that bad. Lewis Hall. I feel like if you were getting Lewis Hall, it was probably for the Leicester game. I think Ipswich away is not bad. Villa at home is okay. Then it's 2 away games, Spurs and United. Feel a bit silly captaining Palmer. Blanks happen. I wouldn't worry about it. I will admit, though, now I've had a pretty good week, right? But as always, I'm an FPL manager, so I am always thinking about how it could have been better. When I was out yesterday and I saw that... I wasn't really watching the whole game, but I was aware of what was going on. When I saw that Liverpool were down to 10 men so early into the game, I thought, here we go, Palmer captain over Salah. And how Salah's outscored him. He's just unstoppable, Salah. I'm probably going to captain Salah this week against Spurs, but I'm not 100% set on that. Palmer's got Everton away. Shame Cucurella got a red card. Was thinking of bringing him in. Yeah, maybe not a bad option. Obviously got his goal today. Cucurella's gone up. Colwell's gone up in price now, so the gap between them's a little bit smaller. But Cucurella might go up in price tonight. I don't know if the red card will halt that. Would you be fine starting Luca Dean and Rodgers versus City? I mean, ideally, no, but I guess it depends what the alternative is, right? Is Trent worth 7 million with the likes of Robinson, Hall, Munoz from 18 doing well? That 2 to 3 million can make such a difference in attack. Possibly, but I think it's a bit early to say that Trent is potentially no good. I think from 18 onwards, we'll really see how good Trent is with the fixtures they've got. Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine if you want to go a bit cheaper and go and get an attacker instead. I mean, I spoke about that last week. Trent versus Isak was a decision for a lot of people, myself included. I decided to go the Trent route instead of Isak. So far, it hasn't worked. Chances are it won't be working this week either. So I could be a few points behind by doing that. I don't know. Robinson's good. Lewis Hall, I'm not convinced there's a huge amount of clean sheets coming up for him, to be honest with you. Munoz is good from 18 for sure. And Munoz got his fifth yellow card today. So he'll be suspended now and he'll have served that by the time you want to bring him in. So I think I will have one of those players you've mentioned, I'm sure, but I will probably be taking out an Arsenal defender rather than a Liverpool one. And I think with the double in 24, I know I'm going to want Trent for that if he's fit. So I'm not sure there's any point in just not going for him just to get a cheaper defender, then to have to bring Trent in later. But as always, it depends when you're buying. You shouldn't. In most cases, you're probably not buying Trent this week. Fair play on triple Arsenal defence. Thank you very much. I don't like talking about triple Arsenal defence too much, but if we want to have a discussion about it, I'm more than happy to. People have stopped sending me Saka's scores now for some reason. Cunha and Johnson out for Jackson and a 5 million midfielder, Ahmad. I would maybe buy Enzo over Ahmad. Well, I got to be honest though, Garnacho and Rashford not being in the squad, Ahmad playing behind Højlund, and if not, often plays wing back. His minutes look pretty good right now. Next 3 fixtures are okay for Man United as well. Or for Wood and Gordon. So Jackson and a 5 million midfielder or Wood and Gordon. I think long term Wood and Gordon probably wins out. Jackson's really good though, but I think Wood and Gordon is maybe better. Thanks for telling us to start Hall over 8 Nuri. 17-point swing. Wow, yeah, it was huge. I think it was quite a close call, but I just think Newcastle defence a bit stronger. Wolves defence is terrible for clean sheets. No Saka seems the best way to break the template. Low XG and Arsenal not looking compelling going forward. So, again, this is easier to say now than it would have been a few weeks ago. And look, in another world, I'd buy Saka. I think in a few weeks' time, it'll probably depend on how many points Saka gets in the next 2 weeks. But I think in a few weeks' time, people will start thinking about selling him. Not because he's bad, but because he's probably blocking you from getting other players because of how much he is. And I said this last week. It's a bit like the Haaland discussion, right? I mean, again, Haaland's just doing terrible. So that's a reason not to have him. But by not having him, you have more money to spread. It's kind of the same with Saka as well. And as I've said for weeks, I don't really see too many game weeks where we're going to be captaining Saka. Saka has Ipswich at home in 18. That's probably the best fixture for a long time where you're going to captain him. And Salah has Leicester at home the same week. So unless you want to go differential, there's no captaincy there. He's over 10 million. People are going to want to start getting... people who've got Jackson don't want to sell Jackson to Isak. They want to get Isak as well. Maybe Liverpool defenders are good from 18. But I'm not saying sell Saka. Obviously, he's got Ipswich at home in game week 18. I would definitely keep him. I'm very worried about what he's going to do in that game. But he's not essential. That's all I would say. I think people have been talking about him as if he is essential, but I don't think he is. Was that deadline stream donation a fake account or no? It was actually KSI. Yeah, that was his second channel. Played Hall because you told me to. Thanks very much, but I'll probably tell you to do loads of stuff that don't get you points in the future. Because that's just the way FPL is. Someone said I missed their super chat, but I don't think I've missed... Oh, I have missed a few. What do you think of Tottenham-Liverpool next week? Son a keep? I quite like holding Son for a few more weeks. Not because of the Liverpool game, but I think generally Spurs fixtures are okay. I mean, I guess if you haven't got Saka and you've got the money, Saka is better next to. Liverpool at home, Forest away. Then Wolves at home in 19 I really like, although they will have a new manager by then. And Newcastle at home in 20 is pretty nice as well. So it depends who you're moving to, but I'd be quite tempted to keep him, I think. But obviously, he's not going to do what he did today because Southampton is one of the best fixtures you're going to get. Is that Solanke assist getting removed? I don't think so, because it's gone down from Opta as a blocked shot. So if that's what happened, if Solanke shot and it got blocked to Kulusevski, then that's an FPL assist. That's how it works. It's the same as the Palmer one last week. I watched the replay on a video on Twitter, and it really wasn't that obvious whether Solanke shot first or he got tackled. So if he got tackled and they change it and they say it's not a shot, then the assist will get removed. But if it stays as a blocked shot, then it's an assist by FPL rules. So hopefully it stays, because getting nothing from a 5-0 win will be annoying. Is Maddison essential? No, but he has done really well. Maddison is definitely the player that's like the most under the radar in terms of how many points he's scored. He's now the 5th highest scoring midfielder. He's got more points than Bruno Fernandes and Son. Only Salah, Palmer, Saka and Mbeumo got more. By the way, Mbeumo's only 3 points behind Saka for the season, which is kind of insane. Now, I suspect after the next 2 game weeks, Saka will be miles ahead, but that's kind of crazy. Is Cunha going to get suspended? I don't know, but it has to be a chance, I would say. Replacing 8 Nuri, is Robinson the obvious choice? I'm going to be honest with you, I really wish I'd thought about defenders more before I started streaming. That's the problem with doing like a knee-jerk reaction without having thought too much. I think Robinson is good. They obviously play Chelsea in game week 18, so I think this week looks great for a clean sheet. Maybe not so much next week. I'm trying to think which other defenders I'd be looking at. I don't think I'd buy Lewis Hall over Robinson this week, especially if you can bench him in 18. Colwell's probably still okay, if not a bit boring, and Chelsea do keep conceding. And then Munoz is probably the other one later on. Who else is there? I don't think there are too many others, unless you're going to go up to like an Arsenal defender or something like that. It was a tackle, no shot. I mean, opt to disagree with you, so we'll have to see what they do. Is Mazraoui going under the radar? I don't think so. I just don't think his minutes can be relied upon. What will be my approximate squad target for game week 24? I've honestly not thought that far ahead, but I guess for the double, Trent, Salah, one more Liverpool player or slot. I really need to think a bit more about. As you can tell, I've not thought too much. But no, I think with the assistant manager thing, until we get the prices, I don't want to overthink it too much. But maybe slot, maybe like a Van Dijk or Alisson, possibly. The thing is, we're going with like Jota. I don't know who I'd want to sell, because if I think I will end up selling in Mbeumo at some point over the next few weeks. But if I don't, then he's quite a good long-term hold. And Bruno, I just think, is really good at the moment as well. And Mason Mount picked up an injury, so the games that Fernandes plays in the front three, the minutes he gets in the front three are going to be much better now, if Mount's out for a little while. So, yeah, my Game Week 24 squad, I don't know right now. It's still a little bit too far away, but 3 Liverpool slots, and then maybe Everton players, but it really depends. Like maybe Ashley Young, Mikalenko, something like that. I'm not sure about Calvert-Lewin. If you're a Saka owner, you do not need to think about selling him, I would say. Not for the next 2. If Arsenal concede 2, then your whole defence is fried. I don't know if you're winding me up or... I mean... Yeah. Maybe I'm sure you're just trying to get a rise, maybe. Porro and Cunha to Colwell and Isak for free. That sounds pretty great to me. Pretty great. A lot of community chat about Eze, but hooked at 60. Hooked before 60, you're right. Let's see over the next couple of weeks what happens. I think game week 19 is when I really want to buy him. Son and Cunha to Isak and Ahmad, 2.9 million in template premiums. Have you got no other way to fund Cunha to Isak? Selling Son to Ahmad just doesn't sound great, but not terrible. Show us the bus team for next week. I can do that. So it looks like this. Yeah, whenever anyone says like one goal will wipe out your 3 Arsenal clean sheets, no one ever considers that if they just get a clean sheet, then suddenly I've got 3 without having to rely on any other teams. This week's probably not going to be great for me in defence. Like 3 Arsenal against Palace away and then Trent against Spurs away. But last week when my defence looked good, my attack looked weaker. But my attack looks better this week, I would say, because of Mbeumo and Fernandes fixtures. Is Eze even a good pick anymore if he's lost pens to Mateta? I think with the fixtures and his price, he's still pretty good. But I'm not... I don't think he's essential. The thing I quite like about him is it frees up money. But I don't know if I'm definitely going to buy him. I think Munoz, I'm almost certainly going to buy. Saliba to Munoz in Game Week 19 looks kind of set for me already. Eze, less sure about because it involves selling in Mbeumo. So we'll see. Like, I might even keep Mbeumo and do Rodgers to Eze and just improve that bench spot. But I'm just not... I'm not locked in either way. I'm just kind of playing it by ear a bit. Because I don't need to make the decision now. Am I sure about Raul Jimenez's minutes going forward? It depends what you mean about am I sure. Am I sure he's first choice? I'm pretty sure, yeah. Do I think he's going to get 90 minutes anytime soon? No. He obviously got subbed off against Liverpool on the 67th minute, but he played 78 against Arsenal, 77 against Spurs. So I think for his price, his minutes are still going to be pretty good. I'm a little bit worried he doesn't start the Southampton game. Because although he's got a big gap to that match, it's only 4 days till the Chelsea game afterwards. So if he's first choice, they might want to save him for that. But I just think if he's mostly going to be in their first choice 11, and you've got an 8-day gap, so they played Saturday, they next play on Sunday, surely he starts the Southampton game, bring him off early. If he gets 70 odd minutes in that game, I'll be happy. And he's only 5.5 million. So again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I'd love to do Raul Jimenez to Isak, but it's like an extra 3 million that I have to find, and there's no one I want to downgrade this week. So for me, I just hold on to him and just see what happens over the next few. If Sarr continues to show Watford form, one to consider in a couple of weeks. Yeah, absolutely. And again, because of Arsenal at home, Brighton away in the next 2 game weeks, any Palace players you're thinking of, you can get another 2 weeks worth of information and then make your decision. You don't have to do it right now. Mbeumo can score against any opponent. Brentford's XG of 1.61 against Chelsea tonight was their highest away XG all season. Brentford have found a way to score lots of goals this year. Yeah, Mbeumo's decent, but we shouldn't pretend like, you know, the fixtures aren't getting worse. Like, Forest at home is okay. Brighton away is not... I mean, I said this ages ago. I didn't think the fixtures 14 to 18 or whatever it was were as bad as everyone was making out. They weren't great, but for a player that's nailed for 90 minutes on penalties, they're okay. This week's fine. Brighton away is not terrible. Arsenal at home is pretty bad. Southampton away is great. City at home, Liverpool at home, really not great. I'm just playing it by ear. So Game Week 19, I may well sell Mbeumo for Eze to free up money. But if I get money to upgrade the Rodgers spot instead, I might keep him and just play him against Southampton and then decide what to do before City. Chelsea was a bad fixture for Mbeumo, still scored. Yeah, but obviously players can score in tough fixtures and they can blank in good ones, but you're trying to play the odds, right? Like if you'd said to me for 1 week only, you don't have to use any chips. I'm just going to go into your FPL team and you can have Gordon instead of Mbeumo for Game Week 16. I obviously would have taken Gordon, right? But Mbeumo's now outscored him. Sometimes you just get lucky. So you're just playing the odds. I think Mbeumo was one of those players that it was perfectly fine to sell him. It was also perfectly fine to keep hold of him. And I know people hate it when I say stuff like that because it's like I'm sitting on the fence. But most decisions in FPL are not super black and white. And depending on your team setup, it might make sense to keep hold of a player like that. Mbeumo fixtures get better from 23 for the rest of the season. Yeah, I do think with Mbeumo, if he can stay fit, if you do sell him over the next few weeks, you are probably going to want to buy him back at some point. Porro didn't start, but he came on before the 30th minute because Udogie got injured, and so he got the clean sheet because he played for more than 60 minutes. The difference between me and you was more than 100 just a few game weeks ago. Now it's down to around 40. Yeah, I've had a pretty good spell in FPL. And at some point that would change and I'll start getting red arrows again. Hopefully not anytime soon. Can you do a wildcard draft? Probably not right now, but I can maybe look at it at some point this week. Is there a lot of people wildcarding this week? Who do you prefer from Game Week 19? Van Dijk and Rodgers or Jota and Munoz? That assumes me selling Rashford to Ahmad this week. I think selling Rashford's a pretty good option. I think I'd rather have Van Dijk and Rodgers. That's like a safety first approach, I guess. Like ideally you have Van Dijk and Munoz, right? But probably Van Dijk if it's one of the two. Who is getting bonus in the Chelsea game? So as it stands, I think it's Mbeumo on 3. And then, yeah, Madueke and Jackson on 2. And then no one will get 1, I think. I think that's how it works. Do you have any Cunha replacement suggestions for next week? So Isak's the obvious one, if you can get to him. If you're not going to Isak, it gets quite interesting. I think you've got your pick of options. I'd be tempted to go cheap. Like, it's hard to sit here and say that Raul Jimenez should be brought, but it is Southampton at home. He is continuing to start most games, and he's such good value if he does get like 60 to 70 minutes most weeks, because it allows you to spend money elsewhere. So if you want to go cheap, like João Pedro is probably your first port of call, but buying Raul Jimenez is probably not terrible. I don't think I would buy Vissa right now. Chris Wood is never a bad option. I wouldn't buy Højlund. Vardy against Wolves is fine, but he's on 4 yellow cards, right? And I think the fixtures get a little bit worse. Let me see here. Yeah, Liverpool away in 18, City at home in 19, Villa away in 20. I just wouldn't buy him right now. Højlund, maybe. I did think when Amorim came in, he would end up being the first choice striker for Man United. And obviously, Rashford being left out of the squad is not great for him. I guess Xerxes could still start at some point, is your only potential worry. But I think Højlund's minutes will be good. I'm not sure I'd buy him. 6.9. Evan Nilsson, yeah, nice shout. Let me look at... The thing is, Bournemouth's fixtures are going to get a little bit worse soon. So if you're buying Evan Nilsson for 17, it's Man United away. To be fair, they're not that bad. Man United away, Palace at home, Fulham away, Everton at home. But then it's Chelsea away, Newcastle away. So between 17 and 22, you got all of Man United, Fulham, Chelsea, Newcastle away from home. Now, I think Bournemouth attack is very good, so they will probably cause all of those defences problems, but it just, on paper, it doesn't look like a great run. And then 2 weeks after Newcastle away, it's Liverpool at home. I guess Newcastle away is not a terrible fixture, to be fair. Yeah, forwards are quite tricky this week for who to buy. Like, if you've already got players like Raul Jimenez, Vissa, João Pedro, you're probably just holding on to them. Same with Evan Nilsson. But to bring them in, it's a bit of a trickier decision. Probably another thing I need to give a bit more thought to this week. Definitely not Watkins, that's for sure. Definitely not Strand Larsen. There's not actually a huge amount of options in forwards. Like, I'm looking at the top scorers. There's not many of them I would want to buy right now. Not this week, but if time to look at what Wildcard 19 might look would be helpful, I won't be in time for Christmas week between 17 and 19 for you to do it. I might be able to do a Game Week 19 wildcard. I might just have to record it before I've seen Game Week 18 results, which is always a bit annoying. Might just be Chris Wood set and forget. Yeah, I really don't hate that option. Brentford away, Spurs at home, Everton away, Wolves. Again, though, right, the annoying thing is they're not terrible fixtures, but you'd be bringing him in for 3 away games in the next 4. Brentford, Everton, Wolves. Then again, Brentford give up goals and so do Wolves. And then it's 21, it's Liverpool at home. I think Chris Wood's fixtures from 22 onwards look pretty nice. I definitely can't sit here and say Chris Wood's a bad option. I really don't mind that at all. I think in Chris Wood, you got a number 9 for, a pretty good team. He's on penalties. The minutes look good. Definitely not Welbeck. No, definitely not Welbeck. Is it a bad deal to buy players who are just the cheapest options so you can spend more on other players? Well, that really depends on who the player is, right? Like, in my team, I can afford my defence because I've got Raul Jimenez and João Pedro. I've gone about as cheap as it gets, and I think that might be an okay strategy. But other people will look at it and say, well, you should go cheaper in defence and go Isak, Jackson, etc. And that may well win out long term. I think the amount of money in my defence needs to be reduced over the next few weeks. But it depends on who the cheapest option is. There's definitely no harm in buying value players so you can spend more money elsewhere. The price changes screen is frozen. I should be able to fix that. I set up my computer earlier for the stream, and I think the internet might have... Oh, okay, that looks a bit weird. Now it's really broken. Let me just... Hang on. Okay. Oh, what have I done here? Now it's now it's just scrolling through constantly. I don't think I can change this. That's going to be really annoying. Hang on a sec. I don't think there's much I can do about it. Okay. Hang on. Yeah, I know. It's just scrolling through very quickly. I think if I now do this, it might end up working. Please. Okay. Now it should change in about 8 seconds. Yeah, Enzo, Cucurella, and Milenkovic all rising tonight, apparently, or getting close to rising. I've gone from 7 million to within top 2 million. Hopefully we can get into the top 1 million after 3 weeks. Definitely possible. Who would you sell to Munoz in game week 19, Collins or Lewis? I guess we'll have to reassess closer to the time. My gut feeling would probably be Collins if Lewis is still getting good minutes. Thinking Cunha and 8 Nuri to Raul Jimenez and Trent, but it's tonight or priced out. Feels a bit risky. There is midweek games. Fulham don't have a midweek game, if that helps. Their next match is just that Southampton fixture in game week 17. Liverpool do have a midweek Carabao Cup game, but I think it's quite likely that Trent is benched, but obviously not a guarantee. Vardy lost 8 points in 2 minutes. Yeah, Man United played fine, but they didn't really create too much. But Núñez just really helped. I don't know if everyone's seen it, but Núñez made a really bad back pass that Amad Diallo intercepted before Ederson. Now, to be fair, like Amad Diallo was quite wide at that point. It's not like he could have had a shot. And then Núñez obviously wants to make up for his mistakes. So he just barges into him like it's a stonewall penalty. No way you're getting away from that. It's just a huge mistake from him. And obviously then the second... I mean, Amad Diallo for that second... I didn't think Amad Diallo actually played that well, to be honest with you. But that goal he scored, the touch, and then, to finish it off as well, just brilliant. United did finally look solid, though. They didn't concede too much expected goals from open play. Set pieces, though, they're one of the worst in the league. There's a tweet going around, I can't remember who put it out, that Man United are like the worst from set pieces this year now. Maybe close to Wolves. Who are my top 3 defenders around 6.5 that are not Arsenal or Liverpool? If you're spending 6.5, it's probably got to be Vardy, right? There's not many other defenders around that price. But I would just go cheaper. For me right now, I'm spending 6+. Oh, apart from maybe Timber, I guess. I'm spending 6+ on Arsenal or Liverpool, or I'm going 5 million or below. I don't think I'm buying Vardy. I don't think I'm buying Porro. Or Cucurella, even. Especially now he's suspended. I think Munoz, Colwill, Robinson, Anderson, if he's back fit for Fulham. They're the kind of players I'll be looking at. If you were the owner, would you sack Pep? You can't sack Pep. He's got way too much credit in the bank to even think about sacking him. And Johnson bench for the 5-0 in 45 minutes. Yeah, that hurts. You can't completely trust Johnson's minutes at the moment. Can Chelsea win the league? I mean, I think eventually, like if you look at Chelsea's team versus Liverpool's team, Chelsea playing, and Arsenal of course as well, Chelsea playing really well right now. Like their defense, like if you've got like Palmer, like Jackson's great, right? He's one of the best number 9s in the league. We won't get into conversation about where I would put him because I haven't really thought about it too much. He's a really good number 9. Palmer's obviously amazing, one of the best players in the league. And then they've got a bunch of other attackers they can play as well. Enzo Fernandez is decent. Lavia, Caicedo are good as well. Like proper decent Caicedo. That defense would be not so sure about, especially Sanchez in goal. Like that would probably just worry me a bit. Whereas I think when you look at Liverpool, their attack is just as good, if not better, and their defense is much better. And I think for Arsenal, their attack's pretty good as well, and their defense is much better. So I think Liverpool and Arsenal overall first 11 is just better than Chelsea. So I think at some point Chelsea will fall down a little bit, but they are playing great. Yes, I did hear that Sanchez had played well. I didn't watch the game today, but I think he is a dodgier keeper than both Raya and Alisson, right? Do I take the cup seriously or no? Well, I didn't even realise the cup was back on until someone mentioned it earlier. I think someone may have mentioned it to me last week. I mean, do I take it seriously? I don't make transfers based on my cup opponent. Put it that way. Like the cup to me is it's kind of pointless, really, because you're not really doing anything to play in it. You're just hoping that your actual team does well. I mean, I've won this week. My opponent's all out on like 45 points or something. They captained Salah, to be fair, and had Isak, but the rest of the team's just not as good. So I've won this week, but there's not really anything to do, is it? I just get my opponent next week and still try and go up in the overall rank. Is it bad to have the absolute cheapest non-starters who just sit on the bench? You don't want too many of them. Like I've got Greaves, who basically is kind of useless to me because he's not starting. But I wouldn't want too many more players than that, because at some point you will rely on your bench. So it's nice to have a deep squad where possible. My opponent in the cup has Barco. Got to respect the patience. Maybe they're hoping he comes back in January. In Burmo to Saka back then instead of Johnson has been the worst outcome. What did I say to do back then? I feel like I would have said keep in Burmo, but maybe I didn't. Pep is the best thing that's happened to Man City over the past years. I'm not a fan, but I'm just saying the truth. Yeah, obviously, everyone knows that. I don't think there's any calls for Pep to be sacked, right? And if there are, it's probably just troll accounts on Twitter. It is nice, the place Man City are in right now. Well, yeah, and obviously fans don't want to hear that, but that just shows how good they've been, right? That we're all happy that they're not doing so well. They'll turn it around. They'll still finish top 4 easy. They're probably still in the top 4, aren't they? They've only got 1 win in 11, by the way. That's mad. Okay, they're 5th. Sorry. Forest are 4th. Sorry, Nottingham Forest fans. Sorry. I don't check the league table all that often. Need some advice. Using my wildcard. I've not thought about wildcard. I'll just say that right now. Raya, Valdemarson, nice. I'm not sure about Gomez. I think Kanate could be back soon-ish. Gabriel, nice. Robinson, nice. Colwell, nice. Kirkes, nice. Salah, Saka, Palmer, of course. Iwobi, Rodgers, João Pedro, Jackson, Isak. Any suggestions? Get Ahmad in for Rodgers. I'd probably rather have Rodgers than Ahmad. Overall, looks pretty good. The only thing I would maybe think about is if you get rid of Saka. I'm not saying you have to. Ipswich at home is very good next week. Palace away this week's not bad either. If you got rid of Saka to someone a bit cheaper, could you then upgrade 1 or 2 of Iwobi and Rodgers? Like Saka and Iwobi versus, I don't know, Gordon and Bowen, or Gordon and Fernandez, or Mbeumo and Bowen, whatever combination you want. Like, would that be better? I suspect it probably would be. Yeah, Barker probably is still in because the price can't drop. Would you keep Anderson or upgrade to Robinson? I would wait and see what Marco Silva says in the press conference this week. And if he says that Anderson is back for Southampton or very close, I'd be tempted just to stick. It depends how desperately you need a defender this week, I suppose. Like, if Anderson's out and you need a new defender, then there's nothing wrong with going for Robinson. But if he is available for Southampton, he's likely to start, I wouldn't use a transfer on that. And also, Anderson's price really good. Like, Robinson's decent, but if they are both fully fit, I'd absolutely buy Anderson. Less money to get the clean sheets, basically, and more money to spend elsewhere. I heard a stat on commentary for the City United game that City had won the league being 10 points worse off at the same point than they were at the start of that match. Really? They probably had Rodri though, right? Double Fulham defence is okay long term if it costs you 8.9 only. Maybe. I haven't really looked at that too much. I can't imagine I would want 2 Fulham defenders, but I guess individually they're both good options. But you really need to get confirmation that Anderson's back because it's not guaranteed he's available for Southampton. Mitoma has been a real pain to own. It's hard to hold on to him, even though Brighton have 2 decent fixtures coming up. I mean, West Ham away is pretty good, yeah. And then it's Brentford at home. I'd be tempted to hold him. Depends how many transfers you got, I suppose. Like, for my team, I know I haven't got Mitoma. I'm just talking about my own team. I think I'm going to roll this week. I've got 3 free transfers. And I think for the first time this season, I'm probably going to get to 4 next week. I will continue to think about Solanke to Isak, but I don't want to sell Fernandes, Mbeumo, Salah, Palmer, Gabriel, Saliba, Trent, and Ray, and there's just no other money in my team, and I need to free up over $1 million to do it. Also considering Aït-Nouri and Cunha to Jackson and Robinson. Yeah, I quite like that. Like, Trent is certainly not essential. I think he's good from 18, but not essential. You can probably just get him closer to 24 if you wanted to. What was my favourite thing that happened this game week? I mean, Fernandes penalties are always good. By the way, I think Fernandes is close to getting on the wall, if not already there. Now, remember, for anyone that's new to the channel, or has only started watching this season, the players on the wall that I have on the introduction to all my videos, it's not necessarily about them being amazing overall FPL picks. It's about the story. And I think the Fernandes story this season for my team is worthy of a place on the wall. Just for how many points he's got me since I held him on wildcard 6. If you remember, all the clamour was to get Luis Diaz. No one even talks about Luis Diaz anymore. And since wildcard 6, and also remember, like, the story got even better because I kept him on wildcard 6 and he got sent off that same week. And then since then, he's absolutely smashed it. Like, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assists, 1, 2, 3, 4 goals, 9 returns since game week 7. So I think Fernandes got to go up. I think it's time. I don't know about Cunha for game week 17. We'll have to wait and see. If you want to know the stories of the players on the wall, they're probably in some of the Q&A videos that I've done for like hitting 100k, 250k, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go through them all now. I can do it at some point, and in another stream maybe. But if people have been watching for a while, they've heard the stories all before. I started Lewis Hall in 5 games. He always blanked. I benched him now for Aït-Nouri and he scores 50. Oh, that is a horrible swing. Like 17 points down. This is my lineup for game week 17. Yeah. I'm not sure who's going to replace the Wolves. Who's going to replace Gary O'Neill? There's I mean, I've seen people mention like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ten Hag, Carsley, Graham Potter. I think there's is there not like a Portuguese manager that's pretty much already been confirmed? Is he Portuguese? I might be completely wrong about that. Maybe he managed a Portuguese team. He did promise to improve in game week 1. He did, yeah. He did say to FPL managers he will improve. Not Jose Mourinho. Is Cameron Archer on the wall? No. Is De Ligt a decent option? Seems like he has good minutes and Man United are good defensively, just conceding dumb goals. I'd probably buy Dalot. Dalot keeps playing wing back as well, rather than De Ligt. Gabriel or Saliba? Definitely Gabriel. Isn't Gabriel also cheaper now? Gabriel dropped in price after his 9-pointer because obviously so many people sold him. Yeah, Gabriel's 6.1 and Saliba is 6.2. No question, I would absolutely buy Gabriel first. Like, not even a debate, really. I guess if you wanted to have one minor reason not to go Gabriel, he's only just back from an injury, whereas Saliba's fully fit. But the fact that he came back in and played 90, I'm sure he's fine. How come people are mentioning Kwanzaa? Not really sure, but you probably shouldn't be looking at him. So many questions about whether Cunha is suspended. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure it'll be looked into, and I'm sure we'll get news about whether he's going to serve a suspension or anything. But right now, all we can say is he's available for Game Week 17. I don't think Dalot has been great, I agree, but he does keep getting good minutes. And he's quite reliable from a fitness point of view. Thoughts on Højlund, thinking of Solanke out? I just wouldn't be interested in making that move. Like, Solanke's minutes are pretty much guaranteed. Højlund's not quite so much. Spurs' attack is probably better than the Man United attack as well. Fixture-wise, Man United better this week. Bournemouth at home, but I think Spurs will do all right against Liverpool. I'm not expecting a Trent clean sheet. I would just keep Solanke. I don't think he's that bad. How am I feeling about João Pedro? He's a bit frustrating to watch sometimes, but he's still such good value. It's not often you get forwards under 6 million who are on penalties. And his minutes are looking good. He played the whole game today. The fixtures, at least in the short term, aren't bad either. I don't really see me selling him. I don't think Cunha was thinking. I think that's the problem. Did I see when Cucurella fell to the ground on purpose and got the Brentford player a yellow? I didn't. I didn't watch the Chelsea game. It wasn't. I don't think it was on TV. The Spurs game was on instead. I saw Kyle Walker fall down though for Højlund. That was a bit crazy. Getting Jackson in 4 yellows and having Rodgers on 4 yellows could implode. Yeah, I'd be very careful about doing that. If your squad's already looking like it could potentially be quite fragile soon, I'm not sure I would add another player on 4 yellows. Like I think based on what we saw last week when Nicholas Jackson pulled Enzo's shirt to make sure he didn't take it off to get a yellow card. Like players are obviously fully aware they're on 4 yellows, but it doesn't mean they'll definitely avoid getting it. So I'd be a bit careful about that. It's annoying though because Jackson's obviously great and the fixtures are decent. Am I holding Bruno? I don't see any reason to sell him this week. I think at his price and below, he's one of the best midfielders. And the fixtures are pretty good. Like Bournemouth at home, nothing wrong with that. Wolves away, good. Newcastle at home's not bad. Same as Bournemouth, really. Liverpool away is pretty poor. But then Southampton at home is good. I think 4 of the next 5 are decent, so I just can't see any reason to sell him. And honestly, like there's other options cheaper than Mbeumo and Fernandes that I don't mind, but I just don't feel in any rush to get the likes of Gordon and Bowen and players like that. Like if I'm ever going to hold players like Fernandes and Mbeumo, it's when you've got fixture congestion and they're basically going to play every game. And they got penalties. Like Fernandes, I mean to be fair, actually, if you watch the City United game, Fernandes did have a really nice chance from open play. Probably should have scored. But outside of that, didn't do a whole lot. But then he's on penalties, right? So you can not have the greatest game and still get decent points. And it'll happen to Mbeumo at some point. He'll have a really bad game, hardly any shots, and they'll just get a penalty and he'll score it. So I'm struggling to sell them. Now, things change quickly in FPL, and with 3 free transfers, maybe 4 next week, I'm in a very flexible position. All I can see in future weeks is Isak coming in by selling an Arsenal defender, and I just don't want to do that until 19. So I don't think I'm going to get Isak. And also, I'm not even sure I'll buy Isak in game week 19, because when I get to that point, I'm not going to have enough money to go from João Pedro or Raul Jimenez up to Isak. It will have to be Solanke. And in 19, Solanke's got Wolves at home, the same week that Isak has Man United away. So I'm not going to make that move then either. You go to game week 20, Newcastle got Spurs away. Obviously, Solanke's at home to Newcastle, so I'd probably keep Solanke for that one as well. And then 21, I think that's the week where I might consider the move. Yeah, because then Solanke's got Arsenal away, and Isak's got Wolves at home. Now, I know he's going to go up in price, so I might get priced out of it. But I don't think my team needs Isak until 21. And it's not going to be fun to go without him because lots of people brought him in last week. Loads of people are going to bring him in this week as well. So I'm now going up against another highly owned player like Saka. But if it works out okay, then that's also a kind of... What do we used to call that? There was a term for it when I used to be on the scout forums a lot. Undifferential, I think. And undifferential is when you didn't own a high owned player. And that's been Saka for me, but now it's probably going to be Isak. Can't believe we didn't get a return for Saka against Everton. Andy's Busney didn't get punished. I mean, it's nice, of course, but I know it's pure luck. And Saka, the thing is, Saka's blanked 5 of the last 7 game weeks. But in those 2 game weeks he returned in, he absolutely smashed it and got 31 points. He can do exactly the same the next couple of weeks. Is it silly to look at bringing in Raul Jimenez? I don't think so, no. I think you do it with the expectation that he's probably not going to start all games and his minutes aren't completely locked. Thoughts on... Oh, I did that one. Only have Gabriel. Is Trent the priority over an Arsenal defender? I mean, this week, ideally, you get the Arsenal defender, but soon I think you want Trent. I would probably buy Trent before another Arsenal defender, I think. Surely an undifferential is just a template player. No, because you don't own them. So it's like the opposite of a differential. It's a differential for your team because you don't own the highly owned player. That's basically what it used to be anyway. No one uses that term anymore. Have I talked about Ahmad? Yeah, on and off. I think he's a pretty good option. His minutes look pretty good. He's playing in a couple of different positions, playing well. Garnacho and Rashford seem to be in the doghouse. 5.1 million, not bad. Next 3 fixtures, good. I've got 0.3 million in the bank. I have 4 free transfers. I don't have any big issues. So is it mad to roll again? No, not necessarily. The only thing is I've seen a couple of people this week that have got 5 free transfers and they don't need a transfer in their team, but they're in the position where they don't want to burn it. So I would just consider that. Like if you're on 4 and there is like a slight upgrade you could make, I would maybe just take it rather than get into 5 transfers necessarily. But honestly, I'm going to be in exactly the same position next week. Like if I don't make a transfer this week, my team will still look pretty good for 18. Because I'm going to have triple Arsenal against Ipswich at home, Trent against Leicester. I may get to 5 transfers if I don't get any injuries. But we'll see. I mean, I could always do like Pinnock to whoever as a bit of cover. I have 1 free transfer and I want to make about 5. Yeah, but again, sometimes you just get lucky with no injuries and stuff like that, right? At one point, I saw people saying that Mbeumo was down in the match today, and you know he gets injured, and suddenly there's a transfer to make, right? Ipswich can score, yeah, of course, right? Any team can score, but you have to buy 4 defenders, so why not buy 4 of the best? If I'm stuck with Haaland, does it make sense to sell him now, seeing as his next matches look good? I still think selling Haaland is probably better to have that extra money spent in the rest of your squad. Surely you're not going to get another Saka non-haul against Ipswich. No, Saka will probably do really well. But hopefully, the long-term gains from not going for him will be better. Like, it's not going to be perfect every week. Like, there's going to be times where the team does worse. So you're just hoping it does better in more weeks than it doesn't, right? Is Timber safe to transfer in? Arsenal presumably have a midweek game. I can't remember who it's against, so I'll quickly look it up now. Oh, it's against Palace. Yeah, they're playing them twice in a row. I would wait till that game's finished. I don't know if Timber will play, but I would wait. If you can. Is Porro a sell? Probably, yeah. Overall. Is it wise to not triple up on any team because of the assistant managership? You then leave your options open to any manager. I don't think that, not necessarily. I think once you know when you're going to, or when you're likely to want to use the assistant managership, then you can think about not tripling up. I wouldn't let it affect me right now. Unless, like if you knew for sure you wanted slot for the double that's probably going to happen in 24, then maybe I would leave a Liverpool slot open. Who are the biggest transfer targets? I suppose it depends who you don't have. Probably Liverpool from 18. Isak from right now. Bruno Fernandes looking essential. Maybe him. Don't know who else. Probably not a huge amount of other essential players. Palmer, if you haven't got him, of course. Salah as well. Saka and Cunha and Johnson to Bruno and Jackson and Gordon. I wouldn't be selling Saka before Ipswich at home, to be honest with you. I mean, I do think the 3 players on the right are better, and if Cunha gets suspended, then it looks even better, right? But selling Saka before he plays Ipswich at home doesn't sound great to me. I know you're doing it before Palace, but like, can you really go through with that? Now, how are you going to feel if Ipswich do really well? I can do Solanke to ease out for free. Should I do it right away? Also need to get rid of Aït-Nouri, but he's 4th defender. Yeah, Aït-Nouri long term probably has to go. Yeah, if you're not going to get priced out, I would maybe I think, just a quick note to anyone thinking about buying Isak, and I might be wrong about this, but Newcastle are playing Brentford at home on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup. I think Isak might start that game. Because for Newcastle, that's a good chance to get into a semi-final. Brentford are not pushovers. Brentford will probably put a strong team out. I don't see them rotating a huge amount. So Isak's probably going to be playing on Wednesday. So if you can and you're not going to get priced out, I would wait for Isak until that game's been played. How do you see Robinson? Fulham's second best defence is very attacking and fixtures are great. Just delays Trent for a while. Depends how long it delays Trent for, right? I mean, I think Trent is better than Robinson, but it's a lot more money. Generally, I think Robinson's probably one of the better defenders to pick up this week. Like 3 in the next 4 are just so good. And even after that, it's like West Ham away, Leicester. I mean, Bournemouth at home's not like an amazing fixture, but Fulham are so strong that it's not terrible either. If banned, Cunha out for a hit or start Rodgers? Usually I would say start Rodgers. The only reason I'm hesitating is because, like, if Cunha gets suspended for this game, you get him rid, right? Because it's not just going to be one game, it's going to be more. And long term, he's not an amazing pick either. So I might be tempted to take the hit, because Man City at home is not an amazing fixture either. Like, Cunha to ease at -4. If he gets suspended, I could probably talk myself into that, and I don't really like -4s. Did anyone get to 5 yellows this weekend? Munoz, definitely. I think that's it. I could be wrong. Is Johnson to Maddison a good move? The thing is, do you think Maddison's now nailed? Like, I know Maddison's scored lots of points this season, but he's not exactly a guarantee for minutes either. Plus, he's 7.6 million. Like, he literally got benched against Chelsea in Gameweek 15. He has started 4 of the last 5. I just think I think I would go for like Gordon or Bowen instead. Although I guess Gordon also got benched recently. Everyone's just getting benched. Yeah, I'd be wary about. I wouldn't be buying Maddison personally. Aït-Nouri to Robinson right now to avoid being priced out. If you're 100% sure that's your play you want to bring in, I don't mind doing it before the price rise. And Fulham are not playing midweek, so you'd have to get really unlucky with like a training ground injury or something like that. Cunha with a new manager bounce or taking him for a hit to Isak. Well, again, let's see if he gets suspended or not. According to the tool player comparisons, Robinson is in fact better than Trent. That just doesn't sound intuitively correct to me. You don't like -4s, but would you do a -4 to stabilise this defence? Gabriel, fine. He's perfectly reasonable to play. Konza, not great. Porro, not great. Aït-Nouri, not great. Fast, not great. I might be tempted to take a -4 if you've only got like 1 free transfer. But honestly, I think you could just play Gabriel, Porro, and just sell Aït-Nouri, for example. And like, okay, let's say you've got 1 transfer, you do Aït-Nouri to Robinson or something like that. Then you're basically saying, is Porro worth a -4? In that case, I probably wouldn't do it. I don't think. Yeah, Aït-Nouri to Trent sounds quite nice. I don't think it's like, if you can buy a different defender this week and then you've got another spare transfer for Trent in 18, that might be better. I think long term, Trent's a pretty good pick. If Trent was to pick up an injury, though, it really makes my decisions quite easy. Then I'm just definitely getting Isak in, I think. Although I would still struggle to do it without selling Solanke. I don't know what I would do. Nuri Johnson Cunha need to take out the 3 or keep Cunha if not suspended. Yeah, Cunha's fine this week if he's going to play against Leicester. Thoughts on Rodgers to Ahmad? Tempting considering Man United's fixtures. I don't think it's worth a transfer. Maybe if Rodgers picks up his 5th yellow card, I'd be tempted by it. There seems to be a lack of strikers to pick going forward. I mean, I think João Pedro's fine. Raul Jimenez is fine. Isak's great. Chris Wood's fine. That's 4. I think Solanke's okay, but I completely understand why people wouldn't want to buy him. But I think for keeping him, he's more than reasonable to do. Like, his underlying numbers are still pretty good for the season. His minutes are good. The fixtures are okay. And he's only 7.5. Like, you've got to remind yourself, he is cheap in the likes of Isak and Jackson. Jackson's good as well. I think there's quite a few good forwards. Trent and Raul Jimenez versus Jackson and Robinson. If Jackson can avoid that 5th yellow, it probably is the latter. Cunha's next 4 games aren't even bad for an attacker. Leicester away, United at home, Spurs away, Forest home. Yeah, they're not terrible. Not terrible. I wouldn't necessarily take a -4, but if he's suspended, I probably would. If Solanke was 6.5, I would buy him. He's overpriced. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. 7.5, I still feel like it's okay. I feel like people have got a little bit of a bias towards Solanke. I kind of get it, right? He's on 61 points. So it's lower than like Raul Jimenez, Evan Nielsen, Strand Larsen. He's quite low down. It's not amazing, but maybe it turns around at some point. The underlying numbers are still good. He's got 9 returns, 13 games. Not terrible. Isak's got, 11 in 14 now? So he's a bit better. He's also more expensive. Yeah, like I said, I can completely understand why people wouldn't want to buy Solanke, but I don't know if he's a huge problem. Going up and down in the 200k range, any advice? Generally, the higher up you get, it does get harder to make significant gains. So all I would say is if you're sticking around, your team's probably pretty good. It's not like you're massively dropping, so just keep making good decisions and hope that you get a bit luckier, I suppose. Like, I don't think you probably don't need to change your approach if you've got 200k already. Rodgers out for Enzo or Ahmad, free transfer. I'd probably just roll the transfer if it was me. A couple of weeks ago, I sold Mbeumo and Bruno and bought Salah and Saka, and I have 9 points less. Yeah, it's just because you got unlucky with Saka, right? These things can happen. I'm thinking of using 4 transfers over the next 2 game weeks to go from Salah to Haaland and back. I just wouldn't do it. Transfers are precious. Also remember that, there's a potential double coming up in 24, so you might be making more transfers than you usually would. And if you want to use your... I think it's quite likely that whenever you end up using your assistant manager chip, you will probably want to make at least 1 transfer, maybe 2, to switch managers to someone else. And so that's extra transfers as well on top. And you can, even when you're making manager changes, you can still make player changes as well. So I think I'd be not saying you can't make moves, because obviously you can, but stuff like Rodgers to Enzo, Rodgers to Ahmad, I'm not sure about that. Is Alisson a good buy on wildcard? Yeah, I think so. Good fixtures after the Spurs game. How was the pint of Guinness from KSI? It was very good. I had quite a few Guinness yesterday. No, not as much as the week before, actually. I have Jackson and Isak. The team looks unbalanced now. Is there any way of resetting my transfers? No, but if you've got Jackson and Isak, it's probably looking pretty good. I think once you start trying to get Palmer, Salah, Jackson, Isak, and then Saka as well, then it probably does get a bit tricky. Haaland and Rodgers to Isak and Saka for -4. I'd be a little bit tempted by that, but selling Haaland for -4 is never going to feel great, but it does feel like an upgrade to me. I've used my first wildcard, yeah. I used it back in Gameweek 6. Didn't go that well. Not initially, anyway. I guess since then it's been all right. I'm not saying Cunha's out. I'm literally saying the opposite, that he's not... lots of people talking about a suspension, but we don't know for sure that's going to happen. My rank's like 187k as it stands, but that will go down tomorrow because I don't have any players left. I have the money to get ease out this week. Not sure. What are you not sure about? Yeah, if you've got all those players, then I guess the defense is quite cheap, right? It doesn't matter when likes of Lewis Hall are getting 15 points, but most weeks, I guess, you're not going to get that. I think, again, just to reiterate what I said last week, the prices are just very good. It's making for interesting decisions. So, somewhere you've got to make a sacrifice. My sacrifice right now is no Isak and Saka, and it doesn't sound great when you say it out loud. No Jackson either. But other people, it's sacrificing their defense. Maddison is better than Solanke long term. Maybe. As long as Maddison keeps starting, I think he's a great pick. I just don't know if you can guarantee that. That's my worry. Like I said earlier, I think Solanke's a bit annoying because he's not picking up any big scores, and like even when he's scoring, he's not getting bonus, and that's the problem. But I'm still confident enough he'll get enough chances to start scoring some goals soon. What's your normal bedtime considering this is your job? I'm usually in bed by like 10:30, 11:15, something like that. Yeah, later stream today because of the 7 to 9 p.m. games. Has the Isak train gone? Nope, don't think so. If you haven't used any wildcard, when would you use them? Well, I would use it in 17, 18, 19 because that's the last time. If your team looks fine this week, I would probably go in 19. Problem with the strong 8th attacker is each week you bench the logical player, then they outscore the one you start. In Burmo versus João Pedro was this week's. I probably would have started João Pedro over in Burma, yeah. I guess so. It's still not a bad thing to have a strong squad. Not sure I need to rush into Cunha to Jackson for Everton away. I agree if Cunha is available. Ain't Nori to Munoz Robinson. I would go Robinson first. And then Munoz. Or Munoz is literally suspended, right? So you wouldn't be buying him. Having my worst season ever, but sticking with it. If you were at a lower rank, would you play more aggressive or conservative? I would probably just play exactly the same as I usually play, which is basically what I've done over the last few weeks, and it seems to be working. I don't think you need to go... Like, the problem is, you see this all the time. People have a bad rank. They go super aggressive with differentials. The differentials don't work out, so they fall even further behind. Then you feel like you've got to go for another differential. Whereas sometimes just making the obvious choice is the one. Munoz will serve his ban in the cup. No, it's 5 yellow card suspension, so he serves it in the Premier League. Evan Nielsen to Raul Jimenez, team's fine, but seems good long term. I do really like Raul Jimenez this week, but I think I would just keep Evan Nielsen. How did De Bruyne... Oh, I'm surprised we haven't had any assist questions. Apart, I guess we had the Solanke one earlier. There's lots of apparently dubious assists this weekend. So my interpretation of the De Bruyne assist is... Okay, first of all, I really hope at some point they rewrite the rules around intended destination, because I think they apply their rules fairly consistently, even though no one agrees with it. But I think the wording is just confusing. So for De Bruyne, massive deflection, right? But because the deflection happens so quickly after he hits the ball, you can't know what the intended destination was. So, for the purposes of FPL, the intended destination is where it lands, and it doesn't take another deflection before it's headed in by Vardio. So therefore, by FPL rules, it's correctly given as an assist. And it's the same with Lewis Hall, because of where the deflection happens, you can't really see that the ball was going somewhere else, and so it ends up at Isak. There's no one else around him, therefore it's a Lewis Hall assist by FPL rules. Like, people are never happy with how the rules work, but they are applied fairly consistently. The thing is, right, I tried to explain this to someone earlier. You don't need to know what the literal intended destination was. You can't know. You can't literally know when a player kicks a ball what they're intending to do. That's not what FPL are basically saying. They're saying that where the ball, like, I don't know, let's say you cross from the corner flag and there's a player on the edge of the 18-yard box close to you, and there's another player on the 6-yard box, on the penalty spot. If the ball gets deflected near that guy on the edge of the penalty area, then for FPL purposes, that's the intended destination. Even if the player miskicked the ball and he was trying to get it to the other side of the pitch, for FPL purposes, the intended destination is where the ball got deflected. And therefore, if the guy on the penalty spot scores, it wouldn't be an assist. So for De Bruyne, because it gets deflected straight away, then wherever it ends up for FPL purposes is the intended destination. That's how it works. And FPL, despite what everyone says, do apply that fairly consistently. It's just that no one understands how it works because, to be fair, it's worded quite badly. So that is my interpretation of it. Maybe they'll take the De Bruyne assist off tomorrow, but I think that's what it works. How can they determine where a no-look pass was truly aimed for? Again, they don't need to know literally what the player was trying to do. It's where it ends up. That is the intended, that is the destination. I don't really know how to explain it any better than that, but maybe I'll try and think of a way. What about Rodgers to Ahmad price increase? I think I'd rather just keep Rodgers, to be honest. Should James Griffin captain Ariel or Susie? No idea what that means. 51 with Bowen left, went Colwell to Hall, painful. Or went Colwell over Hall, ouch. Ouch, not good. Someone just asked me how long the knee-jerk streams last for. This one will be getting shut off very soon because it's 10:15 now and I've got to get the podcast up before I go to bed. In Burmo Max bonus is quite funny. It's quite great, to be honest. But yes, 1 goal, 3 bonus. That's why I love the guy. So good. And Forest at home this week's pretty good. Should I hold Haaland? I have 4 premiums: Salah, Saka, Palmer, Enzo midfield, and my strike line is Haaland, João Pedro, and Rao. In defence, Hall, Gabriel, Van Heck. I still think selling, it doesn't have to be Haaland, but selling one of those premiums would probably give you a few more upgrades elsewhere, which would be quite nice. Start Rodgers or Johnson this week? Both seem rubbish. I would start Johnson, I think. Presumably he'll be back in the 11. Do you think Gyökeres is essential in January? Maybe. How have you got away with owning Bruno? I will never know. Because despite what everyone said, Bruno's a pretty good FPL option. Like, nailed penalties, decent stats forever. Mostly skewed towards assists, granted, but when he gets in a return, he often gets bonus. DJ Langley, thank you. Salah seemed closer to goal with 10 men versus Fulham than Palmer today. I'm not sure I would read too much into it. Like, Palmer's still great. I suspect I will be captaining Salah this week, but that was my intention, before Palmer blanked today. For FPL purposes, what Carabao results would you prefer? Probably whatever causes the maximum chaos. After benching Hall for him, my knee-jerk reaction was selling 8 Nuri for Robinson. Yeah, fair enough. A lot of people are going to do that. I'd say a lot of people with Cunha are going to go to Izat. A lot of people with 8 Nuri are going to go to Robinson. A lot of people with Bruno Fernandes are probably just going to stick with him, I would say. Van Dijk or Saliba / Gabriel only got timber from both teams. I mean, if I'm buying this week, I'm probably going Arsenal because of the next two, I think. If I was buying next week, I'd maybe go Van Dijk. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. Quite a long one. If you enjoyed that, make sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. Trying to work our way towards 450,000 subscribers. This is a normal week, so the next deadline is next Saturday, so I'll have all the normal content throughout this week. Plenty to talk about, although I really do suspect it's just going to be Cunha to Izat, 8 Nuri to Robinson. Everyone else just roll your transfers for the most part. Don't sell Rodgers. But yeah, I'm off. Hopefully your weekend was good. And I will catch you tomorrow for another video. See you then.